Good morning, Weir, roadtour.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of coffee, tea. I'm still I'm still excited about coffee. Going back to it in about a week. Hodl fuel. Get your road to hodl fuel. I'm such a salesman these days. Well, as YouTube continues to kick us off, we gotta do something. So you're gonna be hearing a lot more of that from other YouTubers too. Okay, I want to get into something really interesting, but first, an exciting note. John Kim's coming to hang out today, and we'll post some stuff and have some fun and talk Litecoin. Yes, John Kim is 100% Litecoin. He bleeds Litecoin. He cut his skin. He bleeds blue Litecoin. And speaking of Litecoin, it is just jumping up the charts. If you've noticed, it is now moved. It's harder to jump up the charts in cryptos when you're in the top 10 or top 20. Especially in the top 5, it's hard to get in there and it's hard to jump up from there. Litecoin is moving just past EOS, just past Bitcoin Cash, past Binance Coin, past Bitcoin SV, past Tether. Of course, they've dropped down a bit. But Litecoin is on a roll and moving, as well it should be. It should be the number 2 crypto, in my opinion. This is as far as market cap. Current market cap of Litecoin is $7.2 billion. Think that's a lot? Well, in the last 24 hours, $5.1 billion with Litecoin traded hands. How is that possible? It's not. We've talked about that. But yeah, I think Litecoin right now with 7.2. The next on the list for Litecoin to check off is XRP. That'll be a tougher nut because they're up at 17.7 billion. And then Ethereum at 26.4 billion. I do think Litecoin will pass Ethereum. It will be Bitcoin and Litecoin as 1 and 2 for the rest of my days once it gets up there. That's my opinion. Ultimately, I think Litecoin is going to 1-to-4 ratio with Bitcoin. And that's the way it was designed. And that's the way, if things play out with the banking system, that's 100%. I can't say 100%. That is the way that Litecoin will go, being used as a means of exchange. Everybody will want to have some. Everybody kind of wants to have some now, even the haters. There's not many haters in Litecoin. That's the other beauty of Litecoin is the community. There's not many haters at all. Do you know anybody who hates Litecoin? There was one article last year. Oh, Litecoin is just useless. It can be used for nothing. That was when Litecoin hit $22, 10 to 1. It was a big buyer of Litecoin. That's what they do. They put out ridiculous little statements like that. But yeah, things are going well. Bitcoin keeps flirting with 8,000. Bitcoin going over 8,000 means everybody's going to run. Yes, it all kind of runs off Bitcoin, both as a visual thing. You can say, oh my God, Bitcoin's going, so my other things are going to go, and so I got to get in. But also the way that cryptocurrencies are traded. Bitcoin pairs, meaning that you swap your Bitcoin for Litecoin and things like that, means you can get more as Bitcoin goes up. When you do a swap, you're paying more for the other coins, and you can play the arbitrage, how they bounce back and forth. I think in the next altcoin run, not all of them are going to run. The next altcoin run, you're going to see some slowdown of Bitcoin and some huge increases in the smaller coins. When's that going to happen? I don't know. But hey, if you have a good project, a good token, a good platform, you should be good. Here's a cool article, 3 reasons why Litecoin will retest its all-time high. And 3 reasons are: the halving is about 2 months away and will severely limit supply. Well, yeah, new supply. It won't limit supply of coins available. It will limit the supply of coins, new coins being created. See, that's the thing with the cryptos. People say, oh no, Bitcoin's deflationary. It's not deflationary. And the reality of Bitcoin is it's inflationary because it always increases in the amount of coins available. It's kind of like monetary inflation versus price inflation. But I can understand the deflationary aspects to it. The price goes up because the dollar is hyperinflationary. So in relative terms, yeah, it's deflationary in terms of the dollar, but in the amount of tokens created, it's always going up until 2140, the year 2135 or 40, whenever the 21 millionth Bitcoin has been created, then it won't be inflationary anymore. But the inflation is slowing. That's what you need to know. All right. So the halving is 2 months away. That's great. It'll come and go. It'll probably have a trader spike and drop type of thing. Hodlers, don't worry about that. Support for the coin is growing. That is huge. I think a lot has to do with Charlie and the community. The Litecoin community is cool. I consider myself in the Litecoin community. And they're making all the right moves and haven't had the drama that Bitcoin has made. Now, it hasn't been as big, so I'm sure there will be drama coming up. As Litecoin gets more visible to everybody on planet Earth, people start saying, Bitcoin, do you have Bitcoin or Litecoin? Which one do you have? Bitcoin or Litecoin? Bitcoin or Litecoin? And with atomic swaps, they're going to be interchangeable. Aha, that's the beauty. So support for the coin is growing, and the hash rate is at all-time highs. Meaning, yeah, somebody's doing something out there. Either it's being used a lot to buy things, which I don't think it is yet because it's not necessary, or somebody's doing something. And I think somebody is doing something as far as accumulating coins bigger than whales. So if we're going to use Litecoin as money in the future, I think every country on planet Earth is going to have to get themselves some Litecoin. Every government on planet Earth will be buying Litecoin. Kind of blows the mind when you think about that. The technical outlook is strong. Hodlers are targeting the all-time highs. Okay, I'm not a tech guy, but I'm a hodler. I don't know if they're targeting. They won't sell until the all-time high, comes, and then they'll think, oh my God, last time I didn't sell. Maybe I'll sell a little bit. So yeah, I do expect a pullback at the all-time high. But what was the all-time high? $370. What's Litecoin now? 120, 115, something like that. So yeah, long way to go before we have to worry about selling because of the all-time high. And it's a different world this time. This next run-up, remember, we had the year-long crypto winter, as Dick Allgeier calls it. A lot of people called it before Dick. You can't copyright that one, Dick. A lot of people have called it the crypto winter in the crypto winters past. But yeah, it's completely different now. The whole game field has changed. We don't have the hyper speculators in there. They got destroyed in the old one. A lot of people won't come back until the all-time highs are passed. And they keep going. That's when they start getting in again. So we will see. And then the next thing they say is there is risk, and it's a big one. So let's talk about that. Litecoin, a lightweight version of Bitcoin, is they talk about Litecoin. The debate of which fork of Bitcoin is better was answered long ago when Litecoin was launched. While not technically a hard fork of the Bitcoin network, Litecoin is an improved version of the core Bitcoin code. It's a clone. I would call it a clone, not really a fork. In essence, Litecoin is a lighter weight, faster executing version of the original. Comparison of Litecoin and Bitcoin is simple to make. The choice easy from a user standpoint. Bitcoin is limited to 7 transactions per second, where Litecoin can do close to 60. Confirmations of Bitcoin transactions are erratic in their timing, where Litecoin transactions are confirmed instantly, more or less. It takes an average 78 minutes to complete a Bitcoin transaction, whereas Litecoin takes about 30. Costs for Bitcoin are going up, while the cost for Litecoin transactions stay low. As Bitcoin usage increases, there's more demand for the network. The cost will only go up. It's a no-brainer. If you're looking to speculate in cryptocurrency, Litecoin is by far the best choice. That is attracting new money into the market, more miners to the network, and those two factors are going to drive Litecoin to retest its all-time highs in the next 6 months. So that's saying a 3x from here in the next 6 months. That'd be good. The halving, it's getting close. They talk about the halving. We're going from 25 Litecoin reward to 12.5. The hash rate, all-time highs. The hash rate, the measure of the computing power linked to the Litecoin network and also a measure of the number of miners supporting the network, is at all-time highs. This is a sign of support for the network and also investment in Litecoin. The miners have costs, and these costs are recouped by selling Litecoin. It's not likely a miner that will sell at a loss unless forced to. True. The technical outlook, expectations are high. The miners, hodlers, I'm one and I own Litecoin. The miners and the new owners all have an expectation of profits. I don't know. No, not all, obviously. Some of us are holding to use our Litecoin, not to sell it for US dollars, but to buy things with. I'm going to go out and say it, that expectation is closely associated with all-time highs. When the market surged in late 2017, it set a high watermark for the market that traders have been eyeing ever since. The all-time high mark may be a high valuation, it may be a fair valuation, and it may be a low valuation relative to Litecoin's true value, but we don't know yet because it hasn't been retested. Because the cryptocurrency market is still in its infancy, price discovery is still in effect. That's why the market is so volatile. No one is really sure that what this thing is worth, but they know it has value. Absolutely. And it goes through some technical jargon. All good for Litecoin. With technical data backing up the move, I do expect to see higher prices for Litecoin in the year, short and long term. My target is $189 for the near to short term, and then $250 to $350 in the short to long term. The risk, and it's a big one. Now here's the risk, according to this guy. The risk is simple. There are still old hodlers waiting to get out of the market. Why would you assume that hodlers are waiting to get out of the market? I'm not waiting to get out of the market. Yes, I'm waiting for highs to even start spending my Litecoin, but I'm not waiting to get out of the market. Add to those new owners who bought over the past year and all the new miners and old miners, and you've got a lot of people looking to cash in on this market. It is very possibly the halving will induce a sell the news event as those people ring the cash register. I will not be one of them. The long-term picture is still bullish regardless of profit taking in this market. I welcome it. Profit taking will help keep the market healthy and better able to move higher over the long term and to sustain those gains. My advice to those looking to ride Litecoin up to the all-time high is to expect volatility along the way, and for any important technical resistance level to be possible catalyst for profit takers. Okay, I'll buy that. It's not a big risk. I don't see everybody selling their Litecoin because they, we hit double. It's already 5x, moved 5x this latest move. So yeah. To sum things up, Litecoin is a token with growing support base, dwindling availability, and a market with high expectations. The mix is, in my opinion, a recipe for a big move in Litecoin. I wouldn't be surprised if one day we all wake up and find Litecoin trading at $350 waiting to see what we, the market, will do about it. There is some risk. It's cryptocurrency after all, but I think Litecoin will more than double within the next 6 months. You want to take advantage of the two most powerful... Okay, and then a commercial. So yes, Litecoin, absolutely. And let's go back in time to when Litecoin in December 2017, what happened when Litecoin was hitting $350? Our buddy, Charlie Lee, I was John Kim. Charlie Lee came out and said, hey, look out. And here's for those of you who remember, here is Charlie Lee's tweet that everybody heard about it. And it goes, and this is Bubble City last year. Sorry to spoil the party, but I need to rein in the excitement a bit. Buying Litecoin is extremely risky. I expect us to have a multi-year bear market like the one we just had, where Litecoin drops 90% in value from $48 to $40. So if you can't handle Litecoin dropping to $20, don't buy. How many people who've been hodling Litecoin ever since wishes they took Charlie's advice? What a call that was. And I think 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, he ended up selling all his Litecoin. Now, the sale of the Litecoin, I think it was, he said it was because he was moving prices with what he said. He doesn't want that responsibility, and he wanted to be freed up to say whatever he wants about his baby, his Litecoin. I think that's a big chunk of the reason. Another reason may be that in 2018, the SEC came out and said, well, Ethereum would have been a security if Vitalik was still, the man, the guy associated with Ethereum, but he's not anymore. It would go on without him. Charlie was way too connected to Litecoin for the regulators to really let it happen. And it's good that he pushed away and I mean, talk about well, he probably put it all into Bitcoin, so he's doing just fine. But talk about a selfless move. Bravo to Charlie Lee again. I do have I'll tell you later. I'm working on something right now. I might be having a little chat with Charlie. We'll see. Hang on. All right. And that was Charlie's warning. Okay. Here's the other thing I want to talk about. Hold on 1 second here. All right, here's the other thing I want to talk about. Our boys over at EOS. Now, I'm not going to EOS bash. You guys already know my take on EOS. I don't like it for several reasons, including the people involved. All right? So that's my take. And you're welcome to have your own take, obviously. Invest in the coins you want. And I'm not going to hate on EOS anymore because EOS is supposed to be standalone. It is. It's standalone. It's open source software, right? I don't like the protocol because it's still controlled by a very small amount of people that I don't trust. And there's other things I don't like about it. But an interesting time for our friends over at EOS. As you can see from this chart, over the past 7 days, we've had something that usually does not happen. EOS has been falling. And there's so many whales that push EOS up whenever they need it to go up. I find it interesting. You look at the 7 day, it's down 20%. It's the largest drop out of all the top 20 by far. And what is it that is causing this? Well, I think there's a few things. One is this. There's a new report that finds that dApps are useless. EOS users are mostly bots. How long have I been saying, all the EOS lovers are saying, oh my God, it's the fastest blockchain ever. There's millions and millions of transactions per second, blah, blah, blah. And now they find out they're mostly bots. 95%. Well, let's read the article. Blockchain dApps struggling to attract users. Chain finds bot activity is rampant in EOS dApps. Good and bad news for Ethereum as EOS on the chopping block. I wouldn't say they're on the chopping block. Blockchain dApps struggling to attract users. Vast majority of blockchain dApps are struggling to consolidate a user base. Decentralized exchanges suffer from lack of liquidity, a poor user experience, and high latency. Most gambling dApps fail to offer a more attractive value proposition than a regular smartphone app. So they go on to say here. Let's go to the article. Chen finds that bot activity is rampant in EOS dApps. Chen uses AI to detect any suspicious activity among blockchain dApps and to monitor transactions. In what is the largest study of blockchain dApps and bot activity to date, the intelligence firm analyzed millions of transactions from the top 10 EOS gambling dApps. Gambling dApps on EOS make up the majority of all transaction volume. I didn't know that. So EOS, they keep saying, oh, there's so many dApps coming on. Apparently, they're all gambling. Accounting for around 65% of what they found. And what they found was disturbing. In the first quarter of 2019, blockchain bots made up 51% of the unique accounts. Wow. And more than 75% of the transactions. We all knew there were fake transactions. Now, who's running the computer? Is it Dan Larimer back there with his laptop running all these fake transactions? I don't know. Block One? I don't know. They can. That's why I kept saying. So, what are all these transactions? They're the number one transaction. What are they? They're just bots trading back and forth, or not even trading probably. Good and bad news for Ethereum is EOS is on the chopping block. The good news for Ethereum is that the dApps aren't mentioned in the Ethereum dApps is not mentioned in the report. The bad news is that they were studied by Anchain. EOS is the number one dApp blockchain with 480 million in weekly transaction volume. Yeah, I was like, really? Who's transacting on it? To be fair, Ethereum still has more dApps than any other platform. The only problem is that most of them have low to no adoption. Well, they got better adoption than EOS, if you ask me. All but one of the EOS top performing dApps are gambling related and drop bot driven. Really? All but one of EOS's top performing dApps are gambling related. So I guess that's where they get all their volume. So what does this mean, if anything, to the crypto space at large? Rather, like Bitwise reporting that 95% of trading volume is fake on cryptocurrency exchanges, if the growing number of dApps is a metric to measure blockchain adoption, then it can't be trusted since it's being manipulated by interested parties. It could be to boost dApp rankings through bot transactions, increase the liquidity of dApp utility tokens, earn profits on payout dividends, or even sabotage competing dApps by congesting them with traffic. In short, it turns out it wasn't just a suspicion or bias. Blockchain dApps are, in fact, more useless than we thought. Well, there you go. Who told you first? Nah, I wasn't first. I just said the EOS volume was more than suspicious. Then you can read the Anchain article in there. They posted on Medium. But here's another reason why the price of EOS is probably going down. EOS startup Block 1 is using its billions to buy back more equity. Interesting how that is phrased. They don't say to pay out equity investors so they get out of the game. They say, oh, it's used to buy back equity. And you got to read the language in these things. Block 1, the company that built the EOS blockchain, is in the middle of another equity buyback in order to bring on more strategic investors, a source familiar with the matter told CoinDesk. The company has previously conducted, this is not an equity buyback to get other investors in. That's ridiculous. This is a payout of investors to get out of Dodge. The company had previously conducted equity buybacks in order to resell those shares to new investors that it sees as helpful to his business, the source explained. It's not Block 1 saying this, by the way. The source declined to provide further details about who would be joining Block 1's list of backers. Oh, Block 1 lied? The source lied. There's no one waiting in the wings. Still, it's useful to revisit a previous instance of Block 1 repurchasing equity from prior investors in order to bring on new ones. A recent report from Bloomberg, which cited on March 19th email to the startup shareholders, noted that some investors had received a 6,567% return on their Block 1 holdings. Nice job, absolutely. They took their money out. Now everybody's like, well, I want to get out. I want out. And the question is, how much of the $4 billion do they have left to pay out? However, the Bloomberg report may have been unclear about which investors stood to gain so much. Here's Brendan Bloomer. And remember, you can't have this information getting out that all the equity investors are leaving. Quote, the buyback was designed for seed investors who had been in for a long time, and it made room for potential future strategic shareholders in a way that didn't unnecessarily inflate our balance sheet. Brendan Bloomer, Block 1 CEO and one of the largest shareholders of the company. So here's what they're saying. Yes, everybody's getting out. All the original investors are getting out of Block 1 to make room. We don't want a bigger balance sheet than $4 billion. We don't want a $10 billion balance sheet. It made room unnecessarily inflate. What has Block 1 done? Where did that $4 billion go? Is it backing Tether? Some of it? Whatever's left? And now people are running for the hills. Why are they running for the hills? Especially this part of the voice, the source. The source declined to provide further details about who would be joining Block 1's list of backers. That means they don't have anybody. and they're getting out of Dodge. And with a declining price, it makes it a hell of a lot harder to get anybody to invest further. But you don't need that kind of money. I mean, what are you going to do with the $4 billion? And how much of the $4 billion is left? I would guess not much is left. And the people, after this round of extraction of capital from Block 1, probably not much is going to be left. What does that do? That software is still out there. It's up and running. Probably Dan will move on to another project. He's done it so many times. And it looks like his voice project isn't really going anywhere. So I don't know. You make the call. Anyway, lots going on at roadtoruta.com. If you want to join my Patreon, go to Road to Ruta Patreon. If you want to join the private road, go to roadtoruta.com. Like and subscribe to this video, and lots coming up over the next few days. This is Big Weir. I'll talk to you guys later.